Welcome to How I Rent It, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on the tent rental industry. I'm Tony Ehrbar, the owner of American Tent, one of the leading event tent manufacturers in the U.S. As someone who got started in the event rental industry over 10 years ago, I'm excited to bring you the stories behind the people who keep events running smoothly. Was watching an episode of Shark Tank one night, had a couple of beers, and went on Craigslist, and in Green Bay was a tent rental business.
At the end of the day, failure was not an option. I'm going to do this.
Is this your first time on a podcast?
It is my first time on one, listening to one, seeing one. Yes, sir.
Each episode, we'll talk to inspiring event rental business owners to learn how they got started, the challenges they've faced, and their secrets to success. Whether you're dreaming of starting your own rental business or just love hearing great entrepreneurial stories with plenty of in-tent puns thrown in, this podcast is for you. Stephen has been through the rental industry for over 15 years.
And I was born under a tent.
This is the part where we're going to get into where we're going to have like VP of HR come in and just like okay the questions and answers. What does Ricky Bobby say? If you ain't first, you're last.
That's it. Absolutely.
So grab your coffee, your notebook, or just sit back and relax with a box of popcorn. Subscribe now on Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, and join me as we uncover the journey behind the tent rental industry and how I rent it. Welcome back to How I Rent It, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the tent rental industry, where we share valuable insights, success stories, and lessons from entrepreneurs who built their businesses from the ground up. I'm your host, Tony Ehrbar, owner of American Tent, and today I'm excited to welcome our next guest, Dave and Sada Gallick from D&S Party Tents in Wisconsin Dells. How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. Doing all right. They've been in the industry for 13 years. I've had the pleasure of getting to know them over the last 10 years, both being Wisconsin-owned companies. So today we'll be talking about their journey, diving into how they got started, what they've learned along the way, and what's next for their business. If you're looking to get insights on overcoming challenges, scaling your business, or simply learning from the best, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Dave, how's your foot feeling? Foot's okay?
Getting better.
Okay. Dave hurt himself yesterday on a job. So he's down and out a little bit.
Hold a tendon.
Hold a tendon. I mean, that's what happens with all that tent setting up in.
Yep.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your company. That'd be great to hear.
So we're D&S Party Tent Rentals. We're based out of Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. Started our business 13 years ago and with 2 small tents and built it up to over 60 and kind of do a small family, well, I shouldn't say small, but family business. Kids are involved, try to treat our employees as family.
And how many people are on your team now?
We have 3 of us in the office and about 20 employees that are on crew and doing stuff out on the jobs.
Yeah, I was saying off camera, I mean, I knew you guys back when it was family and it was Dave out there and you had moved to a second crew. So it's awesome seeing the growth of the business. And we've talked to people who started from scratch, but a lot of people who bought in their business. So I think it'll be really interesting for people who are getting into the industry from scratch. Well, take me back to getting your business off the ground. So what were you doing before starting the business?
I was a mechanic at UPS. So if you ever think you're going to be a lifer at one job, it may not happen.
Never know. I was a teacher for the Adams Friendship School District.
Okay. And what was the impetus for starting the business?
Actually, I came home from UPS working, and one of the drivers there said, basically, why don't you start a tent business? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he actually said, well, I've been doing it for 15 years. And he was from the Milwaukee area.
Okay.
And he stayed really small, like 20 by 20s, 20 by 40s, and graduation tents. And I come home and I presented it to Sada. I said, hey, I would like to teach the kids how to have a working background, and let's start putting up tents. And he agreed.
Earn money for vacations, right?
Yeah. Awesome. How many tents did you guys start off with initially?
The 2 tents, actually, a 20 by 20 and a 30 by 30. Probably could have been a 20 by 40 instead of a 30 by 30 because a 20 by 40 is so popular amongst the backyard parties. Just super popular and super easy to set up. With a 30 by 30, the center pole is definitely just heavier. And starting out as a family that we did, it took the both of us to raise that center pole.
Our kids 10, 7, and
And three. Yeah.
Small.
Yeah. And then when I talk to you now, they're in college, which
Exactly.
seems like such a long time ago. They'd show up and they'd be running around that old shop.
And they're workers. Every
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They are workers. They're on a crew by themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're saying 20 wides are kind of a good starting point. Are you frame tents or pole tents?
We started with pole tents. A frame tent would be useful in the inventory as well.
I think it depends upon who's setting up. Like if you want to be able to do a 1-person crew at first and you're going to set up on your own, pole tents are the way to go. If you have 2 stronger people, then you could do frame tents. We did frames together, but
and there are frame jacks out there that will
Yeah.
help lift,
True.
but they're expensive. So
Yeah. So how did you originally fund the business?
we started out with $4,000, literally, and that was our start out budget. And
Yep.
We bought those tents, and we bought some tables and chairs to go under the tents, and then we grew. After that, we just kept growing.
it was weird because like after that first year, we had people reaching out to us, do you want to buy our tent? So we like doubled in size after the first year. And then every year after that, we kept doubling and
Right.
it just kind of took off.
And I recommend you keeping your job at first because you got to live off of that money.
Yeah.
And then your tent business kind of helps support and grow the tent business, if
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Then you can invest what you make off the tent to keep getting it bigger, put it back in.
I'm going to be honest, it took probably 6 years to.
Really feel confident. Our 7th year is when we quit our jobs and jumped all in. Both of us together. We actually quit both together. And then David took fully a year off, that winter off. And then the next 2 winters, he actually got side jobs.
Yeah.
And then now we're just completely on our own.
Problem with working in Wisconsin is you got to figure out what to do in the winter. What do you guys do in the winter?
I do a lot of office stuff and
actually
starting a bridal show in the Dells this coming year. So we're going to sponsor a bridal show. Hopefully
we go on vacation.
We do go on vacation.
There you go. I get to see you at the ARA show every year.
Yep.
Right.
He works and fixes a lot.
Yep, a lot of maintenance. We have now five diesel trucks that haul 38-foot trailers. So a lot of maintenance.
He also makes all our wood products that we do, all our farm tables, our arbors.
Okay. And is some of your staff seasonal? Again, because I always had a problem with that when we had our rental business, that it would kind of bounce around between having staff in the summer versus the winter.
Yeah, most are seasonal. We have one that's technically full-time, so he works every day. But then this last year, we've had the 2 office ladies every other day, and then a couple other workers filling in quite often.
Okay. Do you guys do any tents in the winter? We tried. It's miserable.
Disaster. Don't recommend it. And if this is to a newer company, what happens with the vinyl is it becomes brittle and it will actually crack. So we don't recommend it.
We do one for a fishery contest, a fishery for a local Lions club, and we've done it since we started. It's a heavier duty tent that we use, but they're the only ones we still do it for.
Yeah. We staked into ice one time.
Yeah.
And when it's a sunny day, those stakes will heat up and not want to stay in the ice. You learn very quickly putting up a pole tent with stakes is a terrible idea.
Yes.
Lost some rebar.
Yes.
Use the rebar.
Rebar is your best bet, but don't recommend doing it. So.
All right. First event. Tell us a little bit about it and how did it go?
So I think it was probably a 20 by 20 graduation tent for a brother of some people we kind of knew. Took a lot of pictures of it because they had a really nice yard. And then that became our picture with just a 20 by 20 for all our advertising.
Yep.
Had a cute little cat in it that we didn't even realize till we got it.
Started out with a sledgehammer.
Yep.
As soon as you can afford a steak pounder, I recommend it.
Absolutely.
Easier on your back. There's videos of me trying to pound steaks. I am not talented enough to be able to do that. So
yeah, it's tough.
We kept saying all the time, we're like, oh my God, how do they put these big tents up? Like, it's crazy. We can never do that. And then you think of all the ways to make life easier.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Over time, being able to get those tools. Is there a particular member of your family who is fastest at pounding steaks in?
Yeah.
Dave, let's say one of the kids haven't outpaced you at this point.
We graduated to a 10-ox. It's an machine.
Yeah.
And that is way advanced. Yeah, we now have actually 3 of them.
Okay.
From the Sledgehammer, we went to skid drill. It's a gas-powered steak pounder. Highly recommended.
Those were great.
Yeah.
The kids really didn't ever have to pound in steaks by hand.
Okay.
Maybe once in a while if it's in like shrubbery or something or a funny place.
Okay. Yeah. Tentox has been a very popular answer for a question later, which is what piece of equipment can you not live without?
Yeah.
We want to have him on to talk about the business because he used to have a rental business, Scott, before he started doing that. So I was going to reach out to him. I saw him at the ARA show to come on the show because when we were kind of closing up our rental business was when he really started to take off, and so we never ended up getting one. Yeah. So what was the biggest challenge you faced when you were getting the business off the ground?
The time. You do a lot of sacrificing with your time. I think that was a big thing. We were working full time, doing our jobs. The one thing that helped was that our kids always came with us. So even though we were going to put a tent up, we were still family doing family stuff. That was the big thing. And then the kids were young, so they got ice cream every time after we did a job for them to go. And,
perfect reward.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're going to start something from the bottom up, you're going to need to put a lot of time in it. But you're doing it for yourself.
I really like what you said about wanting to teach your kids how to build something. I think that's super important. And I think that's a really great reason to keep going in the business. And
we never hid anything from them. I know they were young, but when we would talk about how we were going to buy things or how, let's not do this or all that, they were a part of those conversations. We never hid the financial side or anything from them. We wanted them to see that. Sometimes you can't buy it, even though you think you need it right away until you get some money to do it.
Yeah. My daughter wasn't old enough when we sold the tent rental business to remember, but she came along to Door County a lot of times when someone forgot some lights or brought the wrong frame fitting or the 2 guys didn't show up. And so,
was on the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, was there a defining moment when you knew the business was going to succeed?
It took years due to just having that stable job. And then there came to that point where we actually sat down on a piece of paper and drew it out. And we're like, all right, are we going to hold our jobs that are stable, or are we going to go into the tent rental industry? And hands down, we chose the tent rental
industry. It got to be too much. I looked at David and our financial advisor. I'm like, I can no longer do both. I can't teach and do this. We have to do something.
So at about year 6 to 7, we're like, yes, let's in. So,
and then I think after that, we jumped in, and it's still scary because that is your only income. But then surviving COVID and coming out better than we were before COVID, I think that really was okay, I think we can do that. This is going to be okay. We can do this.
And was it truly the controlling your own destiny, being your own boss? Was that really the reason that you said, okay, I want to do this?
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
I actually had been looking to get out of teaching for several years. When the kids were little, it was my paycheck went all to daycare, and it was terrible. And I felt like I didn't work for any, those kind of things. So I was kind of ready to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather get teaching than our personal business, I guess.
And you haven't looked back since?
No, haven't regretted it at all.
No.
Yeah. Great. So one mistake you made early on that taught you a valuable lesson?
Get payment before you leave.
We were at setup or before setup happens.
Yeah.
You don't.
So we do things a little differently because we offer a cash discount. They don't have to pay and be paid in full, a month ahead of time or anything like that. So we do the payment, and then we do a cash discount if they pay in full. So a lot of people pay at setup in cash. So don't leave without getting payment.
You're giving me panic attacks from back when I had my rental business and tried to chase people down. We also instituted that rule, but I like the cash idea because people can always contest credit card payments.
Yes.
They can stop payments on checks. So, people
do crazy.
I like to believe all people are good, but sometimes people suck.
And we don't do Venmo or anything like that because it's really easy for them to be like, nah.
Card, check, and cash.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently when you started out?
I don't think so.
I mean,
That's great.
one thing that helped was we did have a financial advisor that kind of helped us with the money things, making sure we were going to be, because it's scary to leave a job and to do that. But he like helped reassure us. Yep. He actually, he's like, I can't believe it's taken you this long. I've been waiting for you to tell me this next one. So that kind of made us feel better. I think that was one of the best benefits because it's just wasn't all on us. Like we had somebody else telling us it would be okay.
Giving you advice. That's great. So now let's talk a little bit. The others we've had on were all kind of single owners, and I got a husband and wife duo and working with their families. So talk to me about having the kids in the business or working together with each other. Because there's a lot of people I have met who are family and thinking about working together. But you guys, I mean, every time I see you, smiles and happy. Love that.
So we've been together since we were in 7th grade. So we pretty much grew up as each other's best friends, know each other extremely well. We kind of can know what each other needs before we even like have to ask sometimes. So I think that helped a lot. So many times we would get, I can't believe you're working with your husband. I can't believe you can do that. Or I can't believe you two can work together. How does that go? But I think when you have that common goal to strive to build something, that helps tremendously because you both have that common thread that you want and talk a lot. We would talk about it all the time, all the car rides, all like we were talking about our business with the kids or the kids would hear us. And I have to say that was probably my most favorite thing is because I felt like I was an at-home mom still working, but the kids were always with me. And
I think the biggest thing is to be nice with each other.
Yeah. I mean, respect and trust go a long way. I mean, having been together since 7th grade, I'm sure you can complete each other's sentences at this point. But there's a quote. So Brene Brown, someone I really like reading her books, and she talks about resentment is basically the result of unmet expectations. And so to your point of saying things out loud and talking about it, there can't be resentment if you talk about it and make sure you know why the other person's doing what they're doing. And so it's great that you guys are openly communicating about things and keeping things out in the open. I think that's in any business partnership, that's super important.
And being that we started small, we did everything together. Like we made our schedules starting out together. We, everything was together. And then now that as we get bigger, like obviously I do take care of more of the office scheduling, all that stuff. And he's got the cruise and the rental equipment. And so now we've branched out to where but we still talk about it all the time. We never make a big decision without
daily.
Yeah, it's daily.
Do you guys have any like homework boundaries that you sent up? Like, is there like my phone goes on do not disturb at a certain time? Do you guys have any boundaries?
The office is currently our living room because it's still being built. So there's that. I did change the cell phone and got a new cell phone number, so I'm not with me 24/7.
Yeah.
So that's helped a lot. It's after 5. I'm not answering that phone call we do have that now.
You do set boundaries because it's an at-home business and you have to.
Yep. Yeah. So date night, you can't talk about tents.
Well, that's a lot of our life.
Right. Yeah.
I have a business partner in our sustainable fabric business, Renegade, and he wants to talk about work all the time. Yeah. And so if we're out, I'm like, Kern, we're going to talk about human stuff. We're not going to talk about fabric tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. All right. Why don't we talk about growing the business a little bit then? So what strategies have helped you grow from where you started to where you are today?
Well, one common phrase is if it's sitting on the shelf in the warehouse, it's not making you money. So as a young business, we worked with sometimes the customer's budget. As we have now gotten larger, we still work with customers' budgets, but we set our own prices now.
Yeah.
So definitely that has definitely changed a little bit.
And usually it's those last minute things when they call or something because it's raining and whatever. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. Well, it's not going to make us money here, so we might as well rent it or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people will chase things to the bottom, right? And then you're not making any money on it. And so pricing fairly, right? Not taking advantage of the customer, but making sure. I made a lot of mistakes early on of, selling something to someone. And I'm like, I don't think I made any money on that.
Right.
been there, done that too.
We've all done.
Yeah.
That happens frustrating because you're always like, oh, that took way longer than I thought it was gonna. Like, now we have to take it down too. Like,
So talk to me a little bit around the types of events you guys do. I know you do a lot of weddings, but like, what are the kind of main markets you guys service most often?
we really try to target weddings the most. Like, that's we do bridal shows, we do all the Facebook stuff off of that. Starting to definitely get into more corporate events. Usually if we get a corporate event, they come back yearly. So that's kind of nice. So doing that stuff. And we've never wanted to forget the small guys because they are the backbone that'll keep you going. Those backyard parties.
Graduation tents.
Yep. We know some people around here have like $1,000 minimum for delivery and stuff like that. Like, we don't do that.
Don't hit the small guy.
Yep. And we've always said, we need to make it affordable for people who want to have
The backyard event.
Yeah.
Yep. So how did you arrive at the wedding decision? I know we tried to focus on the weddings as well, but what was the decision making around weddings?
It took years. I didn't realize that a 40 by 60 tent would be so popular. After we purchased one from American Tent, it became our bread and butter, the 40 series.
Yep.
The most popular tents to go out. So
yeah. And I think we just noticed once we got that one and got some weddings, we're like, there's always weddings. Yeah. Everybody wants to get married, whether economy's slow or not. There's always going to be weddings. And, people, if economy's slow, then they go to backyard because they try to save money. Like, so that helps. And they'll spend money. Weddings will spend money. So they'll get the things where, the festivals and stuff, they get tents usually. And that's it. Like, you go and you can set up 4 festival tents in one place. That's great. But I'll make more with one tent for a wedding that gets the tables and the chairs and the lighting and all that than I did off of 4 festival tents.
Yep. A lot of people don't think about, if you can do less with more or more with less, I don't know how to say that, but if you can get a good share of wallet from the customer, you have nice things, your stuff is all really nice. And so it differentiates you. A bride on her wedding day wants something bright white, nice chairs, those types of things. Do you guys have Shivari chairs?
We now have crossback.
Yes.
Okay. So we go with Shivari, we bought crossback instead.
How do you feel about transporting those types of chairs and warehousing those types of chairs?
We rented Shivari because we sub-rented from a lady that had them in the Dells, and we were like, no more, we're taking them off.
Right.
Yeah.
Those same crossback chairs are so popular.
Right.
I know.
We fought gravity for a couple of years because of they don't stack well. It takes a whole trailer to deliver 300 of this style of chair. Fighting gravity
only gets you so far.
Right. We'll fight gravity forever.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we were like, okay, is it a trend that's going to last? Well, it's been lasting. So
yeah.
There's one thing about when you make that decision to buy a larger tent, going into the 30 series, going into the 40 series, you kind of want to stay with one company. We chose American Tent because they are a local company. I remember showing up at the factory, didn't have a way to haul the center poles home. We strapped them on the top of the trailer, if Tony remembers.
I do remember that. That was at our very first warehouse with 5,000 square foot warehouse.
One company, because now that 40 series tent or 30 series tent, all are intertwined. So your middle pieces are just considered middle pieces, but then the end pieces, they all sew together. And when you stay with that one company, you can't mess up different categories of tents. Does that make sense?
And you build that working relationship. You guys have been wonderful with helping when we had storms and took some tents out a couple of years ago and replacing stuff for us like fast. And
yeah,
there's something to be said about that.
We went to a Packer game together, actually. I remember we had a focus group up here, and you've come to Packer games with us.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't want to. I'll come out and say it on a recording. You guys are my favorite customer.
Aw.
Just saying. Just saying. I mean, we've basically grown up together in the industry, and you mentioned the 40 wides. You guys helped us with some product engineering and advice to make our 40 wides better. I mean, some of the recommendations in the hip lines have been great, and really made that the 40 wide tent a better tent. So appreciate that.
Of us to collaborate like that. I mean,
yeah, great. So you were talking about industry trends. Any trends you're seeing? Any new products or services that you guys have added recently?
clear top tent. I mean, being Wisconsin, it's so hard. You don't get to use it very much.
Yeah.
But we did go and get a small one to add. Last year we lost a couple rentals because we didn't have a clear top.
And then dance floors are very popular.
The checkerboard, man, we added those this year. The checkerboard, different colors.
Yep.
We went into some sailcloths. Those take us all over.
Yeah, the clear top tents are interesting because I was talking to a new rental company yesterday, and she said, but like the clear top tents, how are they during the day? And I said, greenhouse. They are a greenhouse.
Yeah.
I said, we call them an American tent. I believe the Constellation series, because they should only be set up under the stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you think you can be under one in July or August, no way.
Yeah, I don't recommend them right away.
Because I think I think customers actually will, could give you a bad name because they don't understand. And then if they're miserable under their tent, that's really good to you.
We have warnings, basically, if you want to say this tent cannot be used in direct sunlight in high temperatures because you'll cook under it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. You can put the warnings everywhere, and people somehow will still forget that they read those when they talked to you originally. Yeah. Any mistakes you've seen other tent rental businesses make that you think would help out our listeners?
Not having the right equipment. I've seen that with some other rental companies,
and large companies.
Yeah, just not having the correct stake pounders and pullers.
Doing it by sledgehammer.
Yes, they go the old school way for too long. Now, I understand starting out that way, but don't go too long. Another mistake it was actually my mistake of not going into large enough tents early enough. I don't recommend going too large because you still have to pay for that tent.
Yep.
But there is a need for them. I did not realize that until we purchased them.
Yeah, that sailcloth. I mean, that's a good 10-year anniversary for the business because those are big tents. They're beautiful. I mean, I love anchors, big sailcloths. So any other advice you'd give someone thinking of starting their own rental business? I know you said some common mistakes, but
You're back. Real quick, I just want to introduce you to our daughter.
Oh,
talk a lot about family stuff. Come here, Beth.
Yeah.
She was loading.
She's a senior in high school, but she works every other day. So she's
hi, Beth.
Schedule.
She's a lot taller than when I first met her.
She's loading a trailer for a prom tent. Her prom is actually this week.
This weekend. So she was doing that. And
all right. Congrats. Enjoy prom. We had the dress and everything picked out.
Oh, yeah.
We're all good to go? Okay.
Oh, good. All right. Thanks. Okay, back to your question. Well, I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
I asked Dave if he likes her prom date.
Yeah.
No, I was asking about advice for others starting their own rental business.
The biggest thing is like starting small enough that you financially can handle it, and then growing from there. Like keeping your first job, your bread and butter that keeps you alive and surviving. Keep that so that, you can put your other money back into your tent business to grow it.
Yep.
Seen some people that, we're going to rent this out. I'm going to just go and be like a regular rental company that I see as established, try to get all their stuff. And then they go under because they spent too much money right away and can't afford to pay their bills.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are very popular getting I know your business is going well. You're getting dings and calls and,
all right.
no, I know. No, I mean, it's proving to people the business is going well.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't lose any of those jobs because I was distracting you for this past 30 minutes here.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go with some rapid fire rental questions, tent rental questions. So you've answered it before, but one tool or piece of equipment you can't live without.
That 10X.
10X.
10X is for the big companies.
The steak pounder.
Steak founder.
Pounder
Got
steak.
it. Yeah. If I never swing a sledgehammer again in my life, I will be okay.
Right. Correct.
All right. So one small item that is in the glove box of every one of your fleet vehicles.
Earplugs.
Earplugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that for the steak pounder? Yeah.
Ears of our workers.
Yep.
Grew up on farm and need to make sure you protect your hearing.
And zip ties.
Zip ties and a cutter.
I've joked with a couple others that I think the tent rental industry keeps the zip tie industry in business.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Absolutely.
We
I mean,
60,000 of them every year.
60,000.
Per year.
And then is the youngest kid in the family, were they always the ones who had to go around after you cut all the zip ties off the lights and pick them all up?
Well, we always made sure like you kept them right away, but
Yeah.
they were the ones that would go snip them, and then they would get in trouble if they let them fall to the ground because
Right. We
gotta
Yep.
pick
we-
them up.
exactly.
All right. Most memorable event or project you've been a part of?
Mine was probably at Los Dells. It was a big festival by Boston by Woodside Ranch.
Mhm.
They put on a big Spanish festival, called us, and we put it on in like a month's time. And there was like 200 tents we had to sublease. I was on
Okay.
for like 2 weeks working with
Yeah.
everybody. That was our big first, like, holy cow, we can actually do some big events. He, on the other hand, didn't go there because he was taking care of all the other jobs that we had already had.
Right.
Okay.
He was in charge of all those and taking care of the weddings and stuff.
Weddings,
And then,
Yeah.
not saying he wasn't there, he just
Doing
was
other
not there
stuff.
daily like I
He
was.
was with a cruise.
Yeah.
putting-
Yeah. And like even like sub renting, like, and having to manage other crews that came on, like tent companies that we had to sub rent with to come
Yeah.
on. That was mine.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean,
I
the
remember
edge
that.
having to carry.
Yes. Yeah. We have a rental in Madison that we have to carry everything down a flight of stairs. Very memorable.
The sail box. So it's all the heavy poles, all the
you hit.
Don't always remember the jobs that go smoothly. You
Yeah.
usually remember the jobs that don't go smoothly.
Well, in the first or second time something like that happens, all of a sudden you actually have you think about it and what is the fee for like having to walk a mile down the beach, right? And so there's like delivery fees. I'm sure you guys have added
oh yeah.
more difficult. Yeah.
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 For sure.
Lots of times people wait on that for too long and you have so much labor,
Yeah.
even though the tent takes like a couple hours.
We actually have it in our contract too that if we show up and can't, because they didn't tell us we can't drive to the site, that there will be a carrying charge added, and it's
Yeah.
more than if they would tell us ahead of time because we won't have the right equipment.
There was one rental. It was very far north from here. It was on Balsam Lake,
Oh, yeah.
Wisconsin. And the bride wanted us to carry it 200 yards downhill next to the
A
lake.
cliff, down a cliff. It had a switchback that you had to go.
And then she just didn't realize that there's going to be nobody else there to help us bring it back up to
Yeah.
the top.
She's like, oh, I have all these people. They'll help carry it down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No better than that.
Sorry to say that tent did go up above, overlooking the lake from above,
Yeah.
not below.
He was
It
like, no,
Yeah.
we can't.
Smart negotiation.
Yeah.
Correct.
Speaking with memorable events, we just had the draft here. I forgot I had my draft shirt on, right? Seeing that come together, the number of tents that were there, I mean, I was top 2 sports moments for me,
I'm
for sure. But that big draft tent was, I mean, it was such a weird combination of like, there were beams and there was all of like the lighting structures and stuff. So I still don't know how they put that up.
I know, it's almost like they build this temporary building. It's almost like
Yeah.
they're structure tents. They're structures, not
structure.
just a tent.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Because they are so labor intensive, and
We don't want to take a crane.
yeah, we just don't know.
Yeah, there was 5 weeks that it took them to set that thing up.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of really nice, like big structures. Like you said, we don't do structures either. We do some Keter track tents, but there were a lot of Anchor tents there. I'll give a shout out to my friends at Anchor for the structures that they they put together. So let's turn it around for a sec and talk about funny moments. Any unusual or surprising requests you've gotten? Bizarre things that might have been left at a job site?
We always say we should write a book, and at every one of our kickoff parties coming up this week, we throw a big kickoff party for our employees and stuff. And I'm like, every year I want to take a notebook and have them write all these down because there's so many things. I'm trying to think.
Funny moments.
I know.
Several people have said they got requests for stripper poles. Or if you could use the center pole as a stripper pole, that is
a common question. Yes, when you show up, and it's usually maybe some bridesmaids. There is a question
especially if it's like need to put it on the dance floor, like you have a pole in the middle of the dance floor.
Yes.
Yeah. So, most rewarding part of running a rental business, maybe something that someone might not expect.
I think it was just for me, it was building something ourselves and seeing that we could actually create something that is benefiting so many people, not just the rent, like they can rent stuff from us, but like our employees, having 25 employees that you're able to employ and have them make a living, and
that's rewarding is having employees that appreciate working with you and for you.
That mutual respect that we've created, and that family, like we call ourselves the DNS Party family. Like that's
I bet every year you guys don't have to go post jobs on Indeed. I have a feeling it's all referrals.
Correct.
Never actually had to go and find somebody. Lots of times I have to turn people down.
We do pay I believe we pay our employees well. A lot of them are high school kids all the way to college kids.
That's stuck with us.
And above.
Okay.
Her principal actually works for us temporarily.
Yeah,
he's retired. And he comes out on crew.
That's one of the best benefits that we ever had was I was a teacher. Knowing kids I would like to hire, knowing people, that was huge. Now I'm getting out of that era and I don't know the kids.
Yeah.
So that gets to be a little bit harder. But now it's a lot of siblings work for us. Once one starts, the other ones come in.
Do you have any space for a 44-year-old with a bad back? If you're looking, I don't swing a sledgehammer.
I don't know. I'm sure the office could always.
All right. Biggest risk you've taken and how did it turn out?
Quitting our jobs.
Quitting your jobs.
Okay. And how did it turn out? It turned out very well.
Oh, yeah.
Purchasing larger equipment and larger tents is always a large risk. Turned out well. One thing we have not done was just purchase something that wasn't in need.
Yeah.
So if we had to have a customer need something for us to purchase it, and that's how.
And usually it's more than one. So like if we get asked something like 2 or 3 times, we better be looking at getting it then.
I had a guy, Jeff Crotto, on a week ago. He's the president of the ARA. And he said there was a job one time where they asked bottles of water. Could you bring bottles of water? And he was like, we'll charge you for the bottle. We'll go pick them up, and made the customer super happy.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's the little things. And sometimes you're like, well, why wouldn't you just go get that yourself? But then you end up making you got to make a little money off it or something. So just got to make your customers happy.
Customer service.
Yep.
All right. Completely unrelated, non-rental fun questions. Rapid fire. If you could open one business completely unrelated to the event industry, what would it be? And I'll let each of you answer.
We have 2 other businesses.
No, go ahead.
3, actually. We have a wood processing business that helps us keep people employed during the winter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We then also started a duct cleaning because we needed our ducts worked clean and we couldn't find anybody around here. And we were like, we have all these great employees. Let's try it out and see if we can keep them going.
Otherwise, probably an Ace Hardware in a small town
that doesn't have anything like that.
That would not have money. And I believe if you put it in the right location, it would make a lot of money.
Yeah. A lot of the aces who are successful do some tool rental, they do some bigger equipment rental, and then they have some event rental. So, that's the ARA. That's the ARA in a nutshell right there, right? And you see some of these hardware stores who are just knocking it out of the park by doing all those things and staying busy year round.
And then just offering the basic construction or the basic supplies that you don't want to have to run,
40 miles to go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys ever sleep, given that you have all these hidden businesses that even I didn't know about?
We do now. Now that I have 2 other people in the office, I feel like my life is actually coming back to me a little bit more. So
good. All right. So if there was a theme song that was played every time you entered the room, what would it be? And I'll let each of you answer, or you could answer for the other person. I'm good either way.
I'd say when we were with the kids and we would put a tent up, we would always sing. It was Safe and Sound by Capital City, where it's the I could lift you up. And
yeah.
Center pole was going up.
I mean, you got to have fun.
We have fun.
Yep. That's also a big thing. If you can't joke and have fun, then your partnership won't work out.
The most important thing we do is have fun on our rentals. I tell crews that every day, to have fun, and I hope they do.
I have a feeling working with you guys that they probably do.
Okay,
good. So what is one go-to fast food option if you're running late in between jobs?
I think every time they eat at Quick Trip, almost.
Quick Trip is it's the lunch box for everybody.
It's the Wisconsin standard.
You can.
One thing that we do very differently than most companies probably wouldn't do or think of, we actually pay our employees $10 for lunch every day, and we pay them to eat lunch because it flows so much better with them being on the job. They get breaks if they're in the truck, but when they're on site, they're working really hard all the time. And I think it just goes with that respect and just really.
Yeah, we feed our employees. So I think it's a nice small benefit. They don't have to pack a lunchbox every day.
And working with younger high school kids, if they don't eat, they get really brain foggy and this way they can't work.
Well, they're away from their phones too, so they're out in real life, and it's got to be weird for them to not have a phone in front of them. Do any other moms require you to buy them something healthy? You can have a cheeseburger, but you have to get lettuce on it. There's no requirements, health requirements.
Comes to them, the teacher in me comes out, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to train them for when they have a job. And, and I'll be like, if the moms start contacting me, I'm like, well, I really think so-and-so needs to come and talk to me, or we're going to include them in this conversation. So I don't have too much with moms.
Got it. What is your most favorite book?
We said for business, but we said Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's what we kind of came up with.
Okay.
It's good, basic. Actually, all our kids have read it and listened to it. Our son, who's 16, has, when he was 14, 13, listened to it multiple times. And it's amazing how much that kid can get and not pay for. People just give him stuff. He took it to heart. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, the youngest, right?
Yeah.
They can always get away with stuff. They watch everyone else and learn.
Yep. And he's not trying to ask people stuff or for things. And he's like, what's the worst thing? They'll just tell me no. I'm like, yeah. Great. My middle one would never in a million years ask anything.
So if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, and it can't be advertising for your temp business, but what would it say and why?
To be kind, treat others how you want to be treated. That's the way our world should work. And it goes a long way. That respect goes a long way, and it'll come back to you.
Yeah. We could use more of that in the world right now.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. All right. You get to have dinner with any historical figure. Who would it be?
Well, we're all Packer fans here. Vince Lombardi was our choice on that one.
Such a great team worker, and it'd be really interesting to hear what he all has to say.
He grew a winning team.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm interested to see who has the best special talent or most interesting thing about yourself. I had someone on here juggling the other day.
Oh, I can juggle.
Yeah.
I used to.
We actually had to learn in high school.
Okay. Any final thoughts or advice for someone who's thinking about starting a event or tent rental business?
I think we're going to go back to the common theme here, start small, don't jump in so big that you can't handle it. You're going to get way overwhelmed financially and your personally.
You also have to build that customer board, I guess. Repeat customers are actually quite common.
Yeah.
She was just
We
telling
had
me that
264 repeat customers last year.
Holy man.
that's a lot.
Like,
Yep.
respect your customer, respect your employees.
Yeah.
Your employees are your backbone of your business. I mean, if they aren't willing to do the job and work well for you, employees are a big thing. Treat them well.
Yeah. 264 returning customers are 264 customers you don't have to pay to acquire or to market for. So
Yeah.
taking good care of them. I mean, to get that many customers in the door, you'd spend thousands of dollars on Google, thousands of dollars going to trade shows. So that's great. All right, Dave, Sada, I really appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you. Bye.
Want to start your own rental business? Visit americantent.com/tent rentals and download our detailed guide on the 7 steps to start your own tent rental business. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. For more great content, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Want to be a guest? Email us at marketing@americantent.com. Thanks for listening. Dave and Sada, thanks so much. Until next time, keep things intense.